August 1st, 1998, the start of the Fink family reunion. We gathered in Beatrice last night, and today we're here at Bethlehem Bremen Church. Just finished lunch. Here is the parish hall, and over here we have some of the crew playing.
Somebody help me get on.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going faster than it was when other people were pushing. Yeah, put one kid on there and see what they do is they just hold on to the bar, but no feet. And then they'd yell stop when they thought they were going to fly.
And here is a view of the play area behind the parish hall, and that Kansas farm country all the way to the horizon.
Well, they do they, Miss 4th grade science?
I'm not.
5th grade now, I guess. She's in Jared's. Jared's February.
Look at what I
The corner of the house, or no, that little gutter thing.
What are you guys doing?
Setting up the baseball field.
You don't see them or anything about your music, but you don't get to see them. You don't get to hang out after school. You have stuff to do.
Don't you get like I'd get like
There's like no mall.
Cousins and next generation cousins hanging out on the Liberty
They had
Bell.
three-wheeler. It's not like you're not like
how fast
it's not like living in Croatia or something. You know?
Over here we have Vince waiting to jump on. Go ahead and jump on, Vince.
Get an ATV. Those things are probably pretty good. You gotta have a three-wheeler because it's more dangerous. You break your neck.
Say hi, Uncle Ed. Say hi.
Couple more of the many faces here. Hey,
Hello.
the two that belong to me. Lechen.
Hey guys.
wow. Let's see what's going on out there.
And a few of the folks inside. Hi, Diane. I won't do this too much. And here are some of the crew inside.
The records are open that you can...
Yeah, they're in the church office. They don't like to let you photocopy them.
You can sit there and write down.
Smile. This is preparing for the big hayride trip of the Fink Racers.
Walk right in front of you this past year, Benny. You had 30 calves walk right in front of you. I thought that was so cool. We took off right in front of you.
And there is Spike, the house, trading trailers off. Change of wagon to one with sides. And we take off from Daryl and Jen's place.
Bye, Spike!
See the Herkimer Church over there. I can see all that from my
Man, a thick piece of
Probably true.
I do want to see what we're doing.
You want to give me another your daiquiri, don't you?
Here.
Let's see that.
You have, see those tall stalks of grass sticking up? That is big blue stem. Those were as tall as high as a man riding on horseback. And what you see, the smaller grass down below that is about knee high, that's little blue stem. And then you see some pretty wild flowers. And you see an ironweed or two. But those little daisy-like things are have a special name of which I have forgotten right now. Through this portion of prairie here, there was a fire break plow, and I'll explain why it was here. What the pioneers did, they took horses and a walking plow and they plowed a strip of land, you know, maybe like 10, 20 feet wide, and when they saw the prairie fire coming, let's say that was started by lightning from the northwest, was coming this way or from the south, then the neighbors all came, threw their walking plows on a wagon and some horses, and then they would plow this fire break, turn it over, turn the sod over so that the fire had no more fuel. And the fire cleaned off prairie, and so you had just pure grass, and that was nature's way of regenerating the prairie. And today Kansas State University does burn prairie every year, but it's a controlled burn, and it's the
gable that Uncle Henry Fink built is the old shoddy farm where, this is not the house, but this is where the Finks first lived. And Dad just explained that he quit building houses when he was about 65.
Hi, baby.
Alpha field. On our way to the Fink homestead place. Crossing the electric fence on the hike to the Fink homestead.
You're going over with that. You can't touch that.
Here we go.
Dude, rubber doesn't reflect that.
Feet of Daniel after he jumped the fence here.
Daniel didn't look before he leaped.
Landing into this little pile of cow stuff. Jared played cow pies. No.
Was it by a creek?
Something out of tail.
I'm gonna bring this.
A jawbone. And the adventure looking for the homestead ends. We were unable to locate it or any evidence of it. Perhaps this hill, but we don't know for sure. Things have just changed too much through the years. There comes our tour guide on down the hill.
Here, you want to
Back at the wagon at the end of the hike.
You missed it.
Are you guys on this side?
Yeah, I
don't like you, Dad.
Hey, Vince!
Fink's a big boy. Fink should be tough.
Let's see how bad it was. No.
Luke, he's a good boy, aren't you, Big Luke? You're a good boy. You got a smile from, lady? Give him a smile. Good old Luke.
Modern newfangled commercial.
Watch out, man. Dude, you know what that...
Join my shoe.
Sunday, August 2nd. We are here at Ricky's Cafe in Hanover. Most made it to church this morning. Unfortunately, I did not, so there is no video from church today. And here everyone is gathered inside for our lunch in the big city of Hanover.
Hurry up, yeah, that one.
Someone already figured out how to divide it up.
Aaron's birthday today, Frederica's on Friday.
Not unless Debbie put it up.
Some mandatory eating pictures here at Ricky's. Birthday kids. So that's the room. Sunday evening dessert at the Lions Park in Marysville. There's Jared on the tank in the park.
Partner, pick up parts and set you. What?
She's still asleep?
He was. 5 minutes ago, but I don't know.
And your mom said that. That's a big girl. Would you remember when Amy did that?
Well, we got some serious catching up to do here, fellas. Go for it, man. We got to catch up.
How many?
Let's put it on veterinär anziehen.
Yeah, the game, buddy. Come on in.
Right here. Good. No. That's yours. Get it. No. That's supposed to be. Did you want to play?
Oh, come on. He hurts himself. Yeah. Oh, we're ready. Especially our... I'm ready.
How did I do that?
Oh, my shirt.
He wants to get a picture of him with his godchildren. It's getting dark. They are so sticky.
It's now Monday about noon. Back at the church. Great-grandpa. And then way off in the distance is great-grandma's grave. I remember Erwin telling me it's a good thing they were buried far apart, otherwise they'd still be fighting today. And then back here next to great-grandpa is his brother Henry Fink. Here at the cemetery at Bethlehem Bremen. And over there closer to the church are Grandpa and Grandma. And there are Grandpa and Grandma's graves. Great-grandma a little closer up, and the view from her away from the church back towards the road with great-grandpa's grave there towards the center of the screen. And here is an all-in-one shot, William and Henry Fink, here in the foreground with the Bartles between them. Great-grandpa's grave way off to the right of the screen, little stone see. There's the church in the background, and Grandpa and Grandma's grave, of course, closer to the church among those stones there. Tom Holly's house today, the parsonage where Grandpa Ludwig first moved to with his family, including Mom, right behind the church. And then if we do a 360, we swing across the road to the teacher's house. And this is where Mom's family moved to after a little while. And then the teacher moved across the street to the parsonage, so this was also Grandpa Ludwig's house for a while. And if we keep swinging around, view to the north, there's the church house, the parish hall, and then back around to the church. And at Daryl's place, distant view across the house, and a couple of sheds that are left. Out to the Milo field. There we see the Milo stand. A little pastoral picture. And we might as well do another 360. Across the barns, south, and back. Here at the Pony Express statue at the edge of Marysville, the sculptor Richard Bergen has a daughter named Lori who was a student with me at Indiana University when I was a graduate student there. And I remember her telling me about her dad when he was commissioned to make this sculpture. A little wider view. Here is the blacksmith display inside the original stable here in the museum. There's a 1914 Model T, 2 years before the one that Grandpa was driving when he courted Grandma. So we can picture Grandpa and Grandma in their youth in a car looking similar to this, driving on the road from Herkimer to Bremen when Grandpa proposed to her. Even has the brass radiator. There is a humongous shotgun used for advertising for gun makers with a regular size one just below it. There's the gun display and some training going on here. This is a diorama of Coronado's March, spring 1541, when he claimed the land of the Wichita and Pawnee Indians for Spain, the first Europeans to lay eyes on the land that later became Kansas. monument dedicated to the Pony Express here at the Marshall County, Kansas courthouse. The evening grill out here at the church. Some more playing on the Liberty Bell. And a nice peaceful evening here. Norman and Ruth Grauer joined us this evening. Here's the group looking at pictures of Wilhelmina's birthday. Here's our little girl, first time in a walker.
And
Good job. Yeah.
We also have two granddaughters of Norman and Ruth here as well.
There's that camera again. That camera.
The weasel cam.
Tuesday morning, August the 4th. We are here at the Homestead National Monument west of Beatrice. There are about 100 acres of restored natural prairie grass.
I catch it a little on the plot though. It just gives me a chuckle. Not that he said anything. Überall. Und dann kommt der Weißmann, ja, nicht die Indianer, die und haben alle
Großmutter, ich hab sicher. Man zwang von den Hunden da.
Ja, ja.
Und dann schlug für die Eier über.
Daniel Freeman, the homesteader, whose land is now the Homestead National Monument.
Und kein mehr erst ist das ein Land, nicht mehr ein Colony.
Daniel Freeman. Wife Agnes. And their log cabin. Uncle Wally on the four-wheeler here at the Erwin. The old outhouse on the home place. And there's the old smokehouse just behind the shed. That little shake there was because I had to shake something off my leg that was biting me. And there is the famous bridge over the creek that Willem Schlafhoff, among others, built. Here we are looking south on the road to Herkimer, and up on this knoll of what is now a Milo field is where the Willem Meyer place stood. He is the one who's sponsoring Grandma on her trip, for her trip to come to America. And here is Dorothy's house from The Wizard of Oz. Actually, this is the house of Max Rickert. And this is the farm place where Grandma went to work when she came from Germany. This is a little bit south on the road from where we just were at the Myers house. And so again, this is where the Rickerts lived. We'll do a slow pan, take a look at some of the sheds. There's Dad taking a look around. Mom, of course, staying in the air conditioning. Ha-ha, Mom. And over here, probably what was a garden. The windmill up there with the top taken down. Here's an old tractor on the place. And a view from the back. That previous view was a side view from the lane. This is looking out towards the road. And here is the barn. Dad tells the story that Grandma told when she came to work here. The first time she went in to milk the cows, Max Rickert's wife was sick with rheumatoid arthritis, so she couldn't do much work. So Grandma said she'd milk the cows for Max, and the first time she went in there, the cows all spooked because they had never seen a woman in a dress before. So there's the barn, and we'll do another little pan around the place. Somebody's obviously storing wheat here. Back around, there's the house, the lane back out to the road. This is about the best view I can get from the road. There's a lot of trees and weeds around here. My impression is I have on another tape video of each of the houses where Grandma worked in Germany. And the style of the house, of course, is different, but the lay of the land and the growth around it is really not all that much different from what she might have known over in Germany. Great Grandma Deerking's nephew's house. This is east down the road from where we just were, from the Max Rickert farm. This one's for Eldon's kids. This is a wonderful Dorothy house. Good looking sky too for the Kansas prairie. Here is the Mother Church, Emmanuel Evangelical Lutheran Church, unaltered Augsburg Confession. Here is the inside of Hermannsburg. Same architecture as Bethlehem Bremen, a painting on that side. Center altar with a little different decoration. Painting on the right. And Mom told me on this trip when she was a girl and Grandpa preached at Bethlehem Bremen, they also had a higher pulpit with a door behind it. And the pastor came through that door for the sermon. And the painting had to have part of it cut out. That painting is back at Bethlehem Bremen. And the person who did the restoration filled in that part that had been cut out because in Bethlehem Bremen the pulpit is a little lower now and the door doesn't exist anymore. It's just a wall behind there. Pastor comes in from the altar. Back outside, here is Carsten Fink's grave. Great-great-grandpa. On some documents his first name is spelled with a C, and if I recall correctly, the record of his birth over in Germany, on that record, the Finks still had their name spelled F-I-N-C-K. And then, over and up a few rows, is his wife's grave, great-great-grandma, Marie Fink, who died in 1905. And then there are other relatives here. But I'll stop shooting video with those two here at the Church of Hermannsburg. A little closer shot of great-great-grandma Fink's final resting place over here at Hermansburg. And just a few rows back here from great-great-grandma Fink, his great-great-grandpa, Deer King, great-grandma Fink's dad, the one who committed suicide by hanging himself. And the elders made a decision that he wasn't in his right mind, so he was allowed to be buried here in the regular graveyard instead of off in the corner or outside of the graveyard. And there it is in relation to the church again. Another shot of the home place, this time from the southwest. I'm going to be quiet for a little bit and let us just listen to nature. And we'll do the panoramic view down the road, the windmill and pig pens, out across the pasture land, west with the sun setting over the field, some of the bales here, and back to the house. It's about 6 in the evening. And this, I believe, is what remains of the foundation of the old house that used to be back here where Heinrich lived when he was senile and Grandma took care of him. And a shot over Diane's beautiful garden. Wednesday morning, the day we check out, here at the Beatrice Inn, where it all started, and now where the Fink family reunion ends. And here is the swimming pool. The view from just outside our second floor room. Empty this morning, but of course teeming with Fink children in the previous days. Seeing as how the Marysville courthouse was closed when Dad and I and Louie were there, we'll have to settle for this photo of the famous buffalo head in the Marysville courthouse. You're on.
Hi, howdy everyone! Oswald here. Since I didn't get a chance to say any words at the reunion, I'd like to say a few words after the reunion. With your permission, of course.
Of course.
Thank you, Olinda and Charlene, for organizing the reunion and for all the work you did during those days in Kansas. Thank you, Erwin, Diane, Daryl, and Joni for hosting us, first at your church and at your homes. Thank you, Wally, for the big guided tour. Thanks, Eunice, and everyone who spent so much time in the kitchen. And thank you all for coming. It made the 1998 Fink family reunion a wonderful success.
Well, that's very nice, Oswald. How would you like us to end this 1998 Fink family reunion video?
I know, as we reflect on the Finks and their history in Kansas, how about a few words from the interview your dad did with Bill Westerlund?
Old Henry, the carpenter, if he was quiet, then you better not say anything. If he whistled, then it was all right.
Oh, we kids got in so much trouble with him. That's a good one. Because, you know, he teased us so much, and we had that...
Always enjoyed your grandfather, Bill. He always, Ruth and I, we really liked him. Dad died first.
Yeah.
And Grandpa Fink was he wasn't feeling very good. But he said, I'm going to go his funeral if it's the last place I go. Mm-hmm. And he did. That was the last place he went. After that, he went down.
As a matter of fact, I drove him over here.
That bridges. And a mile and a half north of our church up here, They built that cement bridge in the wintertime.
I have a picture of it, and we drove over it the other day.
They built that in the wintertime, and I know Dad went over, he helped too, and then in the evenings they'd have a fire under it.
Yeah.
And they'd stay up all night and keep this fire going so the cement wouldn't set too fast. Of course, they played cards in between.
Yeah, sure. But they covered it with tarps, I understand.
And tarps over it, and they kept the thing going.
Was that over the horseshoe there?
The Indian Creek. The one east of your old home place there.
Yeah.
And it was at an angle.
That's right.
And then your grandpa said if they wanted to straighten out, they could do that too. And I wish they would have said do it instead of tearing it up. I'd like to seen them do that.
Well, the walls are still standing.
And I'll bet you they would have.
The walls are still standing. At least the one on the north, on the west
the
side.
other one.
But the county.
Yeah.
And but he talked about the wedding, and he said they danced on the table. That I'll never forget. Dad said they had the table as long as it would stretch out and all.
Well, that guy got too much in it.
Yeah, I know.
And he danced on the
But
table.
that was on Bill and Aunt Louise's wedding. That was on your.
My great-great-grandpa and grandma danced on a table. Well, now there's one.
I mean, Dad said he just never would forget that. You know?
When we're
because
oh, we know the.
because on their table was always pork, beef, and fish.
Is that right?
You had your
We
choice.
always had 3 kinds of them on the table.
Where did the fish come from?
When they were in Germany, he said they sometimes didn't know what to eat.
Yeah.
And they always had that feeling if they had something to eat that they were rich.
Yeah.
He told us that a lot. And he'd always say, I never ate enough. He said, Dan, Phil, you don't even tell her, you know, I would always have I couldn't eat that much, you know, like they could. And the threshing, you know, how the table would be full of stuff, and they were so busy eating, lot that ewige passen. He didn't want, he was wanted time to eat. I'll never forget Uncle Bill saying that. He just went passing the stuff around and eat.
Well, I guess they bought the fish. They must have bought the fish at Okido where somebody fished the blue.
That was the guy at Okido that did the fishing.
See, we've got a picture in an album. And
where he stands with them fish.
Oh, we've got that.
And my grandmother is standing there and holding it kind of like this. Like,
That was working here and we thrashed. And we knew we would get done at the Finks the next day. And that evening Art said, let's get Walter Fink out of bed tomorrow morning. And I said, Art, that is just about impossible. No, he said, we can do it. And then he told my mom, he said, if you hear us stirring around, don't get up because we're going to get up early. And so we did. And when we had 2 teams, one on the buggy and the other one.
Oh, so Art was working here.
Art was working.
Yeah, he was working.
And when we got down where it goes downhill towards the house, we let the horses run so the chains would rattle. And you know where the old stackyard was?
Yeah.
We got on our wagon. Art had one, I had the other one. We went across the creek.
Oh, to the creek bottom.
And we loaded up. Well, before we got that way, then we saw one come out of the house. We saw your grandpa come out. We had really stirred him up.
Well, I never heard that one.
Well, we got the job
They
done.
wouldn't tell that one.
We got the job done. We got a big load. Art said, get on your load and I'll pass you up some and you can give me some. And then we pulled under the cottonwood tree there and we laid under the wagon.
So now you've got that down in history.
And so, who had got the worst was Ernst Meineke. He was late, of course. And he got heck for not being there on time. But Art wanted to do that. He wanted to get Walter Fink out of bed, and he did. Ernst Meineke and Henry Fink, they lived down here where Bill Shotty and Fitz Shotty lives now.
Yeah.
And then they would wear their clothes for a long time, and then your grandma would have a big wash day, and then Mom would go up and help her mend clothes. And I was a little fella, and Mom would drive old Dolly on the buggy up there, and Mom stand all day helping her mend clothes.
Work, you know.
Patch blue overalls and brown socks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And who lived on the horseshoe there?
Well, your mother should have got a special crown. for what she took care of old Henry.
Well, I know those two got along. I mean,
Yeah,
Uncle
but
Henry.
I mean, he lost his mind, and then he was,
Yeah.
and she took care of him, and then that was a job.
Yeah.
Oh, she really did. She took care of him, but good.
Yeah.
His home. Everything in the left side of this picture, he said, great Uncle Henry built. Only the right part of the building was there on the original home place.